Cooperatives, an Introduction, Part 1. This is a series of videos that are brought to you by the Tennessee Council of Cooperatives in partnership with Middle Tennessee State University School of Agribusiness and Agriscience, and I am Dr. Justin Gardner, the Professor of Agribusiness at Middle Tennessee State University. Before we get started on understanding what a cooperative is, we have to rewind a little bit and learn a thing called legal structure. There are laws that govern the way businesses are set up and organized in the United States and in the various states in the United States. And we need to stop for a second and review the way that businesses can be structured before we move forward to learn about cooperatives and what cooperatives are. The first type of business that you need to know about is a sole proprietorship. This is a business that's run by an entrepreneur that is in charge of the entire business. It's owned and managed by this one single individual. That one individual reaps all the benefits and all the rewards, takes all the risks, gets all the profits. This one owner must supply all of the capital, in other words, the money needed to operate the business, and as a result, the owner of this business has all the legal claim on the business's equity or its net worth. So if the business is worth anything, the sole proprietor, well, they own all of that value. The next step from a sole proprietorship is a partnership. And a partnership is an association of two or more people that serve as co-owners of a business. And the partners are going to share assets and profits and losses and decision making. Now, there are different types of partnerships. You can have a general partnership, and this is your very traditional type of partnership where all the partners are involved in the business and responsible for decision making, and as a result they're also responsible jointly to pay any of the debts that belong to the partnership. Now, there are many other types of partnerships. We'll just look at a couple of examples today. There can be a limited partnership. And in a limited partnership, there are different types of partners. There's a general partner who is the decision maker that's legally responsible for any debt, and there's a limited partner that doesn't make any decisions and therefore is not responsible for any of the debt, any of the liabilities of the business, but they can still lose any money they have invested in the partnership if the partnership goes under. You may have heard of a corporation. Well, a corporation is a business, or really any organization, that is legally separate from its owners, called shareholders, managers, and employees. And you can be the owner of a corporation by purchasing stock or shares in a corporation. And if the corporation goes bankrupt, you're not liable for any of the corporation's debt. We have a name for that. We call that limited liability. Partnerships and sole proprietorships have the opposite. They have unlimited liability, meaning if the partnership or the sole proprietorship owes anybody money, the partners or the sole proprietor, they have to make good on that. The opposite is true with corporations. If you own a share in a corporation and the corporation becomes insolvent, you're going to lose your investment, but you're not on the hook for anything beyond what you've invested in the corporation. There are lots of examples of corporations. The type of corporation that you're most likely familiar with is called a C corporation. It's based on the IRS subchapter that governs the taxation for these C corps. A C Corp is going to have stock that's traded on an open exchange like the New York Stock Exchange. A good example of that would be John Deere. John Deere is a very large agricultural corporation that's been around for a long time, and you can go out and you can buy shares and you can be the owner of John Deere, or rather one of the owners of John Deere. Another example is what's known as the subchapter S corporation, or the S Corp. Now, these are closely held corporations. You might see this in agriculture as a large family farm, where there's a farm that has an extended family that's running it and managing it, and all have an ownership stake in it. And so every individual that does have an ownership stake will hold a share of this farm. Fewer than 35 stockholders, so they're very small organizations in that regard. Now, there's a thing called a 501c3. That's a nonprofit corporation, such as the FFA. So where do cooperatives fit in? Now, it turns out there are many different laws that govern cooperatives, and one of the most important is the IRS subchapter T, and because of this, sometimes we will call cooperatives T Corps. And finally, what we're trying to get to is what we call the IRS Code 521s or the 501c12. These are cooperatives. A cooperative is a type of corporation, and so a farmer corporation would be listed under the Internal Revenue Code section 521, or it might be listed as a 501c12. These are other types of cooperatives such as benevolent life insurance associations, mutual ditch or irrigation companies, telephone companies, electric companies, or like organizations. That's the actual wording from the IRS guidelines. So a cooperative is a business, and it's a corporation, and it's not a nonprofit. So now we've already learned a little bit about what a cooperative is. And what I want to point out about these types of businesses, no matter which type we're studying, they all have some common ground. And the first bit of common ground is that the person that invests in the business is the owner of that business. That's how you define ownership. If you put money into a business, you own a part of it. Invest means provide equity or provide funding for the business. And owners of a business have a legal claim on any profits the business makes, and they also have a legal claim on any equity or any net worth that the business ends up having. For further reading on the legal structure and organization of business, I recommend Principles of Agribusiness Management. It's an excellent textbook that I use for my agribusiness classes by some people whose last names I cannot pronounce. And then there's a book on cooperatives in agriculture edited by a gentleman by the last name of Cobia. You might be able to find these at a library nearby if you want to read more about cooperatives. I'll be putting some more videos up soon so that you can learn even more about cooperatives. Thank you very much for watching.